It's time for The Story Behind the Person, featuring lively, in-depth conversation with compelling guests from our community. And here is our host, Jonathan Van Bilsen.
Hello and welcome to this episode. My guest today is Lance Brown, a veteran sportscaster with more than 30 years experience on the air. We'll learn all about life with a big network as well as what it takes to get into the big leagues. We'll be right back after these messages.
Top care with top stylists. Book your next hair appointment with Port Perry's award-winning hair salon, Rosario Greco Styles. The hair experience you deserve. Book today. Call 905-985-0099.
At Voss, your independent grocer, it's all about hometown living and shopping. Owned and operated by Terry and Christine Voss, their newly renovated Port Perry store carries many local items to support our town and its residents.
Welcome back. As I mentioned, my guest today is Lance Brown, probably one of the most familiar faces you've seen on television in the sporting industry for a long time. Lance, welcome to the show.
That's very gracious of you. Thank you, John. It's nice to be here.
I'm glad you had made time for your busy schedule. Well, you're retired now, so
yeah,
I guess
I'm taking down Christmas lights. I hire out.
That's great. Normally people do that in January, February, but
no,
I know you're very busy
no.
in between
people
trips.
come by and say, take those lights down, it's May.
What we're going to do is we'll flash your address up on the screen so people know where those lights are.
That's it. Yeah, they're still there. So no, I took them down today.
One of the most difficult things I find in this business is interviewing somebody who has been in the business longer than I've been alive, kind of thing.
Thank you, I think.
And so it's always difficult. And I mean, we've talked a few times in the past, and I know your sense of humor is one of your better qualities. And usually I'm the brunt of that. So we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
So we're going to take it back. Everybody knows that you're a sportscaster for CTV for 30 some odd years. You did the 6 o'clock news, you did the 11 o'clock news there,
right,
and whatever else needed to be done. So I want to take it back a little bit because I don't think a lot of people know about you when you started life out into broadcasting, or even before the broadcasting industry, right? You're from the West, right?
Yeah, from Edmonton.
From Edmonton. And
home of the Stanley Cup champion Oilers.
Yes. Thanks for bringing that up. Now, your dad was in the railroad business, right?
Yeah, he was the superintendent of the railway out west. So he worked in Calgary and Revelstoke and Vancouver and Edmonton.
Okay. There were four of you in the family?
Yes, well, four kids.
4 kids, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
There's a story I heard somewhere about you love animals to the point where your cat gave birth in your bed?
Yeah, I must have been 8, and we had a cat named Bootsy, and she used to climb up and sleep in the bed.
Yeah.
She was expecting. So she climbed up one night, and I was sort of half asleep, and I reached back to pet her, and my hand was wet. She was giving birth. She gave birth to 5. It was a great education, though. 5 kittens, I think.
For you.
Great education for me. Yeah, I don't know about the cat being educated, but she was educated. She probably wouldn't have had 5 kittens.
So what'd you do? You went screaming to your mom? Dad?
Yeah, Dad. No, it was Dad.
Yeah.
If it was a real emergency, which that was, it was Dad. Dad! And he knew by the way I said it.
It's something.
So he was, stupid cat.
So I understand that he was sort of responsible for your first real job or part-time job as a pickleboard
clerk at the CPR in Edmonton, yeah.
Which has nothing to do with pickleball.
No, not at all. You have to go out and check boxcar numbers. So to this day, I look at the boxcars if you're stopped at a train crossing. I'll look at them and see if I can keep up because they're going pretty fast.
Right.
I used to have to write them down as they were going by.
Is that so that as an inventory? So
just exactly. You just take it back to the station. You'd have to hop out in the yard. Sometimes it was 20 below.
Really?
Yeah, well, it's Edmonton, right?
Yeah, of course.
It's warm in 20
It's warm.
below.
Exactly.
So I would check boxcars and then come back, and then line them up with whatever on the pickleboard, they called it.
Oh, okay.
Line them up, and then if the trains were the way they were supposed to be, we had no problem.
Okay.
Sometimes you have to go looking for a boxcar someplace.
Right. It'd be fun. Not really.
Yeah, it was. My first job was fun. I think most people's first jobs, real job, they're fun.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it. Yeah.
How old would you have been at the time? Like 20?
Yeah, 19, 20.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, you're hardy then. So from there, you went to work for Woodworth's?
Woodward's. It was a department store like the Bay.
Okay. Right. Okay.
I loved that.
Yeah, because you did everything from the pet department to...
Sporting goods, toys, pets, and luggage, 1445. That was the store number and the department number.
Funny how things stick with your mind, right?
Yeah.
And you got
I had one back then.
And you got into the sporting good end of it too, right?
Yeah.
Because sports is your thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it was perfect fit.
So were you an athlete when you were a kid?
Yes, John, I was.
I just wonder how someone gets into the sporting business. I mean, I was an athlete too, but I never really got into that end of the business.
The sporting goods part of it?
Sporting.
There's still time.
Yeah, there isn't. So, and then you traveled Europe. After high school, you decided to take a couple of months off.
Yeah, 23 countries in 6 weeks or something.
Is that right?
Yeah, we called it the John Van Bilsen tour.
You're quick. You're quick. Which is good at your... So
yes, at my advanced age, when you grew up watching me.
I did. Well, I didn't actually, but... and when you say you went with a...
I went with a friend of mine.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and when you go away on holiday with a friend of yours and you're 18 or 19 years of age, you come back, you don't speak to each other for 5 years. It was sort of like that.
Yeah. Have you talked to him since?
No. He's a genius. He's in Edinburgh. He's in nuclear physics or something in Edinburgh in Scotland.
Okay. Edinburgh, Edmonton is very similar.
Yeah, that's as close as I'd get.
Yeah, really. So you've always wanted to be a DJ though, right? Like it's in the back of your mind.
Yeah, my first real job in broadcasting was in radio in northern Alberta.
Okay.
And I tell people who came in, they don't do it so much anymore, but they used to come into my office and say, I'm 18 or 19 years of age. How do I get into the business? What do I do?
Right.
And I tell them, go someplace small.
Right.
They don't pay you anything.
Yep.
You have a flipping ball. There is no pressure. You can make all the mistakes you want.
Right.
And then if you're good enough, you're going to get back into Toronto or wherever you want to go anyway.
Right.
So that's what it was like for me. I loved it.
And you went to
so much fun.
So you went to school for it, right? You went to
NAIT.
Sorry?
NAIT, technical school in Edmonton.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And for radio, television arts, that sort of thing. And you got an honors degree out of that?
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah.
It cost me $50.
That's
it was
good.
Honors in television, yeah.
Yeah, there's 3 of you in the class, so that's not bad.
That's right. We were all related.
Now, I read somewhere that you... I read somewhere that you also taught at, I guess, University of Edmonton, or...
Yeah, NAIT, same place.
So you taught
I taught night school.
Okay, in radio, television.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was fun too because they were all so eager.
Yeah.
And they were adults and stuff, so you probably had a little bit more in common with them. But
right, and they would listen. They were there to learn. They're not just because they had.
Yeah, they were there to learn, but they were so keen. It was a joy to teach them because they took everything you said as gospel. And
right.
I mean, I had just graduated, so I didn't think I knew that much, but they made me feel like I did.
I still take everything you say as gospel. So then you went to CFOK up in Barrhead, is it?
Barrhead, Alberta. Well, I was the Barrhead satellite, but Westlock was the town. It's about 65 miles outside of Edmonton.
Okay.
So about an hour.
And Barrhead has what, 26 people, something like that?
25 now that I've gone.
Yeah, okay.
They haven't replaced me yet.
And I know the small town thing. I started my radio career up in CFOS up in Owen Sound, living up in Meaford in somebody's basement, making $2 more per week than I was actually paying on rent.
Yeah, but it's fun, right?
It was fun, right?
That's all that matters. At the end of the day, if you can make enough to get by.
Exactly. It's all about having fun.
Yeah.
So now you also did you went and called hockey games as far north as Athabasca, right?
Right.
Which is what, a couple hours north of Barrhead?
No, I don't think it's quite that far. I'm going to guess Barrhead is 90 minutes from Edmonton.
Okay.
So I'm going to say you tack on, maybe another 45 minutes to an hour.
Okay.
I could be wrong. Might be a little further than that. But the Northern Lights, you drive home after doing a game and the Northern Lights were in your rear view mirror.
Beautiful.
Oh yeah, it lit up the whole car.
Yeah, you can't buy that kind of quality. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Did you live in Edmonton at the time, or did you actually live in beautiful downtown Barrhead?
I lived in beautiful downtown Barrhead. It was my first place on my own.
Okay. Great.
So it was very special. And the people they're country folk, but they were very gracious.
Yeah.
Very, very nice people.
Small town people are wonderful.
Yeah, they really are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look at where you live now, right? It's a small town.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's true.
A lot of people are friendly towards you.
They want to make sure that it stays that way.
Yeah.
Small, that is.
Exactly.
Friendly they've got.
So you called the hockey games.
Yeah.
And so did you get into sports immediately? Or like when you went to Barrhead, is that why you were into sports end of it?
No, I did everything because you do, right? So I used to serve orange juice at county fairs. I used to write copy. I know.
Yeah.
I used to, anything that needed to be done. I'd voice commercials. I'd open the station at 5 o'clock in the morning on weekdays.
Right.
For the morning guy who'd come in, and he was also the general manager of the station, so I didn't want to screw that up.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, you do everything.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's how you learn, right?
At
you
$4
learn
an hour,
everything. Yeah,
or whatever
it's
it was.
$4.25, I think.
Yeah, well, you're well
You're not
paid.
far off.
You're well paid. You had a future.
That's why I could afford to live in Barrhead.
So for those of you who don't know, Lance also does the intro to this show as well as my travel show.
You still haven't paid me for it.
No, no. Thanks for bringing that up.
Oh, okay.
It's a union thing. I can't.
Otherwise,
I would.
union. That's what you said the last time.
Yeah,
too.
I know. Okay. So you're working in Barrhead with the intention of staying there the rest of your life, maybe not.
No.
Then you had an opportunity to go to ITV,
Right.
and do a job interview, for lack of a better word. Right?
Yeah, the guy that taught night school with me, who taught the television course at NAIT, he said there's an opening and you should apply. So I got right on it.
Okay. And ITV was a global affiliate, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We can mention networks on this show. It doesn't really matter.
Doesn't matter.
No.
Yes.
Okay. And that was back in Edmonton, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was 1979.
That's like dying and going to heaven, from Barrhead back to Edmonton. Wow.
Well, and there again, you're the wide-eyed guy with so much to learn, and everybody else is a veteran. So
and you're under
it was a great time to be there.
You're under the magnifying glass too, right? Because now it's like the whole world can watch you, kind of thing. Where in Barrhead, you're limited to you make the odd mistake, it's okay, it's overlooked. But when you're in a big city network, you're scrutinized, right?
I was too stupid to know better, though.
Yeah. Well, you've always been a politically correct guy, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm politically correct.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you
Let's
about.
shut the cameras off. We'll have a politically correct conversation.
No, we're going to play some El Predicto clips
okay.
from way back when. So that'll
They told me to cut that out.
Yeah, I know. We'll talk about that in a minute because I'm curious about that. So at ITV, what did you do there?
I did entertainment. I did news. I did feature reporting, and then I ended up not very long after that, because I wanted to go to the sports department. I ended up in the sports department. So
you did want to go into sports. It wasn't.
Oh
just
yeah,
by,
no, I was. Well, I mean, with the Oilers where they were, and just about to begin their ascent.
Right.
And in college, and there was a friend of mine, Paul Graham, who I think is still with TSN as an executive producer, some real big deal. He and I would go up to the Northlands Coliseum, which is what it was called then, and there was a ring around at the media level, at the high up, and we would call games on a tape recorder.
Okay. Because I just assumed that you just sort of show up in your limo-driven car, sit down and read the news, but that's not the case, right?
No, I didn't have the background for that. If you say I need a limo driver because I lived in Barrhead for 9 months and worked on the railway checking cars, they kind of shake their head and say no.
But the job is more than just reading the news, right? Like you do everything. You grab the cameras, you did the interviews, you did it all, right?
Yeah. Well, we didn't shoot.
No, but you have to go to the games. You have to find the interview people, right? Yeah. They don't just you don't have somebody who supplies all that for you.
Well, Paul and I interviewed Gretzky when he got off the plane from Indianapolis in 1977.
Right.
I want to say something like that.
Yeah, that
was pretty cool. He was a kid too. He was born in 1961. I'm born in '58.
Wow. I met Gretzky once back in the early 80s in Edmonton. But I'm going to hold you right there. We're going to take a break. When we come back, I want to hear more about the Gretzky interview, as well as the whole CTV career, which is going to be quite interesting. So hang tight. We'll be back right after these messages.
PP Print is excited to offer Port Perry wearables, featuring 2 great designs. Show your Skoogog pride with apparel and headwear. We have you covered. PP Print, more than just print.
Welcome back. My guest today is Lance Brown, well-known TV sportscaster. Lance, welcome back.
Thank you.
So there's some interesting stuff that you talked about. The Gretzky thing was interesting. You interviewed him.
Right.
And from what I understand, and as I mentioned, I met him once, he has a fantastic memory for people.
So if this is what you're leading me into, this story?
This is a segue into the story.
Well, I mean, I knew him, but, I mean, a lot of people claim they know Wayne Gretzky, so it's not like, well, I know him and he's my friend or anything. And he had certainly become a bigger deal by the time that I got to Toronto. And I hadn't seen him or many of the Oilers for years, although some of them lived in Toronto in the summertime, Paul Coffey for one. Mm-hmm. So there was a big function at something 33, I forget, room 33, on the 33rd floor of a big building in downtown Toronto, and it was a sports event.
Right.
Gretzky was going to be there, but I never thought anything of it. So I walk in and I sit down at a table. They have various tables. You just sit down. They're round tables. So I sit down. I'm sitting by myself, and he came and sat down beside me.
Really?
And he said, "Lance, how you doing? I haven't seen you in years."
Wow.
Do you know what I said?
Who are you?
What I'm doing right now.
Is that right?
I couldn't think of a thing to say.
Yeah,
I was
imagine.
absolutely astonished that he would. I presume he went to the trouble to find out who that guy is I'm going to sit beside. I don't know.
Yeah, because he would have someone who would tell him, right?
Well, yeah, because I'm just not that big a deal. So,
Don't
but
underestimate.
he went and sat down beside me, and I was absolutely dumbfounded. I was actually quite embarrassed that I couldn't think of a thing to say.
Yeah.
I was overwhelmed that he would sit down and know my name and ask me how I was doing.
He's a wonderful, as far as individuals go, aside from his career, his whole family. His father, I remember, used to make benches out of hockey sticks and donate them to the Canadian Deaf Blind Rubella Association.
Yeah.
And they would be signed by Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah, Walter.
Yeah, Walter did that, yeah. And I mean, just a really giving family, especially in that whole Brantford corridor, you know. Where
Well,
they're
and
from.
to stay that grounded
Yeah.
with all of that adoration is really amazing. And the thing that I remember most about him, outside of that one thing that we're just talking about, is there wasn't a practice or a game that didn't go by that he wasn't in front of a camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I used to feel sorry for him because
It's taxing, right?
Well, I mean, you got Gretzky. Who else are you going to interview?
Yeah, that's
You can't not get him. I can't not get the global guy get him if I'm the CTV guy.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So they're all waiting for Gretzky, and it's practice and game, pre-game skate, like whatever.
And he does those, like those players do those with no income from that, right?
No, it's just part of your job.
Yeah. It's so you mentioned the CTV. So you left ITV, you moved to the whopping metropolis of Regina to work for CTV, correct?
Yeah.
And,
Well, I made a mistake one night on the air when the Oilers were in the Stanley Cup playoffs. I ran some footage that I knew was old, and there were 3 guys in our department, if I remember correctly. 2 of them weren't there. One of them was getting married, and the other one was busy doing something. He was the sports director. So I was by myself. Mm-hmm. This is a true story. I slept in. I slept in the next day. So I woke up, and I had missed practice.
Okay.
So they were going to play the Islanders in the Stanley Cup final, and I scrounged around. I think it was the Islanders at the time, or it may have been Chicago.
Right.
I forget which series, but anyway, I found some old footage and some old clips, but it was from the previous series.
Okay.
So it was dishonest what I did,
Right.
because I presented it as though it was today's stuff, because I wanted to cover my backside.
Right.
Well, I ended up, Sather found out about it.
Right.
Phoned the news director. The news director phoned me at home and said, what about this footage that you ran the other night? And I told him, I came completely clean. I said, you know what? It was a mistake. It was a stupid thing I did. And I was wrong, and I knew it was wrong. So then I'm young. I was 23, and I was trying to be a noble guy.
Yeah.
So I said, if it makes you feel, because I knew they were in tight with the Oilers because they did the games.
Right.
And I said, if it makes you feel any better, I'll offer my resignation, just because I thought I should.
Right.
I had nothing to back me up.
Right.
I walked in, and he said, we've decided to accept your resignation.
Really?
I was gone.
Wow.
So I went to Regina,
Yeah.
found an opening there, and did some football and called play-by-play football, and
you've never run.
I loved Saskatchewan.
You've never run old footage again.
No.
What
What a horrible way to learn.
Yeah, really.
But it
it
was my fault. It was dishonest what I did.
And you came through it okay. I mean, you somehow.
Yeah, I think, I paid for it.
Yeah. You, speaking of Edmonton, I understand that you had an opportunity to do a punt or a kick with the Eskimos.
Well, that was my athletic.
Yeah. So share that story.
Hugh Campbell was the coach of the Eskimos, and they were so good that they went on to win 5 Grey Cups in a row, and I think they were in the midst of all of that. Mm-hmm. So I was covering practice one day, and Hugh Campbell came over to me because I used to kick field goals. I did it by myself for the longest time.
Right.
When we moved from the south side to the south side of Edmonton, I didn't know anybody, so I'd grab a football and I'd just go kick field goals.
Right.
So I got decent at it. But I don't know who told him, but he came over and he said, I hear you can kick some field goals. And I laughed and I said, I can kick field goals, but not like Dave Cutler, who is exceptional.
Yeah.
And he calls Dave over, the field goal kicker over, and he says, "Dave, what size shoe are you?" And Dave said 10. And he said, "What size shoe are you?" And I said, "I'm 10. He said, "Okay." So Dave Cutler used to have a squared off toe for kicking field goals. Right. And he would drop straight back as opposed to soccer style, which they do now.
Right.
So that's what I did. I dropped straight back. I put a shoe on, dropped straight back, and hit it from 40 yards.
Really?
They laughed. I laughed. I don't think I could have done that again in my life.
Yes. So they didn't offer you a contract?
No, but he said, "See," he said to the players who were laughing, "See, I told you he was an athlete."
Oh, that's funny.
Hugh Campbell was a great man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. So that's a number of years ago, right?
That's
back in the Edmonton days.
That's late 70s. And you were just learning to watch me on television.
I actually, we didn't have a television yet. We would go to the neighbors and watch. But and I didn't know what the team was because the color wasn't out yet.
You just get reenactments with hand puppets or something.
It's all YouTube now.
Yeah.
So now some of the highlights, you must have had an opportunity to meet people like Gordie Howe as well, right?
Yeah, he was my hero.
Yeah, everybody in that era.
The great thing about meeting your hero is that if he doesn't disappoint you, that really says something because you hold him in such high esteem. Yeah. Same building. It was the Northlands Coliseum. He was playing with his sons, Mark and Marty.
Right.
And after the pregame skate in the morning, after the morning skate, I interviewed Gordie Howe, and there was just me and Gordie and the camera guy in the stands at the Northlands Coliseum. Wow. And he was, you know what it's like. You're talking to somebody and you're thinking as you're talking to them, wow, I can't believe. In the back of your mind, you're saying, I can't believe I'm talking to Gordie. Right. Holy smokes, this is amazing.
I have that moment right now.
It'll go away real fast. So he was absolutely as gracious and as kind and gentle and had a good sense of humor. And we just talked hockey. How good is that?
It's great because I don't know if it's changed or not, but the emphasis back then was on the sports more than it was on the financial side of it. Whereas now I'm not sure if that's still the case in everybody, but we're not going to go down that road.
Okay.
But I did want to talk about your good buddy El Predicto.
Yeah.
So just for those who don't know, what exactly was El Predicto? How did that come out?
Well, it was just a way to predict sports games and have some fun. So I got a Mexican. My mom and dad had an old sombrero that they're kicking around from Tijuana when they went down to Mexico. So I grabbed that. I got a fake mustache and I think I had some fake eyebrows the first few times that I did it.
Right.
A crystal ball, and the guys in graphics created this character with me and the crystal ball, and I would, like the hockey playoffs are upcoming, and I would say this team is going to win and this team is going to. But I have this big long introduction to El Predicto with this. Right. It was actually I actually stole it from an I Love Lucy episode.
I remember that show.
But so we used it, and it was very popular. People used to call me El Predicto, and I'd laugh, and so would they. And then I got a phone call one day from the newsroom, and the news director said, "Can I see you for a minute?" That's never a good thing, but it wasn't that serious. But he said, "We've decided that you shouldn't do El Predicto anymore."
Politically incorrect, perhaps?
Yeah. Yeah, we don't want to offend anybody.
It's so unlike you.
What do you do?
Well, what can you do, right?
You can't do much.
So you also, I think we have a picture of that. We also have a clip of you back in the 80s doing your Christmas greeting or something. I'm not going to ask the ones where you used to sing Christmas carols all the time.
You're right.
I won't put you through that, or viewers for that matter.
Season's best from CFDO. Lance Brown, Joe Tilley, Jerry Dobson, George Bryson. Stu Bundy, CFDO Sports.
And you look exactly the same now as you did then, by the way, just in case you were wondering. You shaved your head once too, right, for some cause?
Yeah, for charity. For I think it was for cancer.
And what else have I got here? You brought your son to work one day, and he did the sportscaster or something. It was much better than you.
I brought two of them. I had one. Well, there was Take Your Kids to Work Day.
Right.
So I had one. The older boy, Christian.
Yep.
He did a story in Uxbridge with the football team because he was playing with the football team. So we went out and shot it.
Right.
And he did it. And then we went live with him.
Yeah.
And then the tougher one was my younger boy, Devin. He's the middle-aged boy now. But he did the whole sportscast from the newsroom. And
I hear ratings were very high.
Well, they couldn't get any worse. But he was petrified, but he got through it.
So your office was down the hall from Lloyd Robertson.
Right.
Who I think,
used to call him Lloyd.
Yeah, well, he worked till he was in his 90s, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he just kept getting
shorter and shorter as he's walking by. Oh, that's quite funny. So you now live in the area with your 6 children, your lovely wife.
Yep.
And you did a little bit of politics when you retired, right? You ran for council successfully.
Very little. Yeah.
You ran successfully for council for the downtown core of Skugog, which was quite interesting.
Yep.
Did you like that gig?
Yes, I liked it, is the direct answer. I think that it was as advertised. I would knock on people's... I canvassed the whole ward. It's Ward 5. I canvassed every house. And some people would say, are you crazy? Why do you want to get into this and deal with people's problems and so on and so forth? Well, I want to do good for people while I still can.
Yep.
And I wasn't quite ready to hang them up yet, so I did it for 4 years. And
it was fun.
And for the most part, it was fun. It was, and people are pretty good once you...
Yeah.
I think once you scratch the surface on some of them, they're a lot less dangerous than you think they might be.
Yeah.
So
it can be gratifying. It could be very stressful, but I'm sure it can be gratifying as well, right? Which is nice.
Yeah.
Especially if you listen to people, because a lot of politicians don't have that ability to listen to people. But
well, and this is a great town. I mean, you know it.
Absolutely.
You know it better than most people. So
yeah. Anyways, and you've got some travel in the forecast, right? You're going to Portugal soon.
Going to Portugal
and Spain. Just came back from Hawaii. Life is tough. Life is tough. Retirement sucks, doesn't it?
It's the boss. She just keeps me moving.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Lance, unfortunately, our time is up. Gone quick. It was a lot of fun. It was great reconnecting with you. Great to find out some of the stories of your past. Wish you all the best in the future, especially in Portugal.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much for being part of the show.
Obrigado.
All right. Thanks. Portuguese?
Yes, better be.
Thank you. And thank you all very much for watching. Please join us every month right here for The Story Behind a Person on Rogers TV.